two-factor authentication just adds an additional step when you're logging in. So instead of just a username and a password, you then also need to enter a code which is issued via an authenticator app. So it just means that people can't actually log into the site under your account unless they have access to that device where you're getting that code. There is a number of authenticator apps that you can use. All you need to do is go to the App Store and punch in the word authenticator, and there'll be heaps of options. Some of the more common ones though are the Google Authenticator and the Microsoft Authenticator. I personally use the Google one just because it integrates with so many products. So how you would go about setting up this on the site is first of all you would go to your mobile device and ensure that you have an Authenticator app installed. So once you have an app installed, you come over here to the back end of the website. Then if you scroll down here until you see the word fence, then you want to select where it says Login Security. So you'll get a little notification here. You can easily just dismiss that, or you can read through them if you like. So what you need to do now is the QR code that you can see here, you just need to scan that into your Authenticator app. So to do that, you just open the app. Generally there is some sort of little plus button which allows you to add a site. So you just click that, and then using this Google one, there is an option that says scan with a QR code. So you just click that, you line the QR code up with the square that's on the screen. And that's it, it's added it in there for you. So you'll see within that app now, you'll have that site listed and you'll be getting a 6-digit code that appears. So to actually complete this on the back end of your site, you need to come across here to this box and you want to put in the 6-digit code that is appearing on the screen. You'll see there's a little timer. If it's just about to end, sometimes it's best just to wait a couple of seconds until a new one refreshes, and then put that number in. So you just put that in and click activate, and that will activate the two-factor authentication for you. Now it's prompting you here to download your recovery code. So what that will give you is a text file that has 5 different sets of codes on it, and those codes can be used if you don't have access to your Authenticator app at any time. You need to keep those codes safe somewhere, so you either need to print them out and store them somewhere safe, or put them in a secure location where you can access them somewhere on your computer. So what you'll actually see now is if we log out of a website, so once we're back on a login page here, we'll come along and we enter in our credentials. So username and password goes in as usual, select login, and you'll see that you're now taken to a second screen which is asking for the two-factor authentication code. So you enter the current code that's appearing on the Authenticator app. And then you can select login. If you don't have access to the Authenticator app, that's where the codes that you've downloaded come into effect. So you can use one of those codes, paste it into that section there and hit login, and it will allow you to log into the site. Each of the codes can only be used one time, so just make a note, cross it off, delete it if you've used it, just so you know that it can't be used again. So there is some settings you can put in to actually allow you to sidestep the two-factor authentication when you're in safe locations. So to do that, if you just scroll down again to WordFence and go to your login security, this time you'll actually want to come across here to the settings, and there is a couple of things you can check. So you can scroll down. If it's not already ticked, you can tick allow remembering this device for 30 days. That means it won't ask you for that authentication code again for 30 days after you've entered it one time. The other thing you can also do is you can whitelist IP addresses. And what that means is the IP address at your house or business, you can look that up, you can actually put that in here and you can save it, And anytime you try and access a website from a whitelisted IP, it won't ask for that authentication code. So to find your IP address, if you need it, it's as simple as just opening up a internet page. Just type in what is my IP, and you'll get heaps of different options come up here. Usually you can just select like the top one here. And when it loads, you'll see that it actually gives you here an IPv6 version and an IPv4 version of an IP address. The easiest thing I find is to just copy both of them. So if you just grab those details, you can just copy them across, go back to that web page, and then you can just paste them in there. So once you've done both of those steps, you just want to hit save. And once that updates, you'll now no longer have to enter that authentication code when you're accessing it from those IP addresses. Just be aware that IP addresses can change. So if for some reason the whitelisting stops working, just double check the IP address, come back in here to the settings and just modify it by adding an additional one. You do just need to make sure that each IP address is on a separate line when you put them in. The only other couple of things you may need to know in regards to the two-factor authentication is if you go back to the first screen, if you've used some of your recovery codes at any point, you can just come in here and generate new codes. So it's just a simple matter of clicking that button and it will download 5 sets of new codes for you. You can do that prior to using up all the 5 that you had before, but it will overwrite any of them, so they will no longer work. And then there is also an option in here of deactivating. So if you want to move to a different authenticator app or just deactivate the authentication process, you can just come in here and click deactivate, and that will remove that.